So, welcome to the Business Spotlight and the Scale Her Up podcast. I'm Brenda Hector, and I've got Maya Vertigans of Planner B with me today. Welcome, Maya. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, let's just start. What do you do at Planner B?
So we're a virtual assistant service. I started the business myself just like as a freelancer a couple of years ago, working as a VA. And we specialize in working with sustainable and ethical businesses. The business came out of, I was running another business that had a sustainability focus. That's something that I'm really passionate about. So I thought, right, in the VA side, I want to continue that and work with businesses who share that ethos. So now we do a range of virtual assistant services. We do kind of marketing, so content creation, things like social media, email marketing, website content. Then we do back of house, all the admin, your systems and processes, your CRMs, inbox management, diary management, event planning. So a big range. And we're looking at the moment how we can bring in more specific kind of sustainability and net zero services and how we can incorporate that in as well. So yeah, there's four of us. We're a little team of four.
Brilliant. And you're the founder.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what brought you to running your own business then?
Well, I always wanted to run my own business. When I was at school, it was just what I always wanted to do at school. And we did work experience, and I went out to a farm shop so that I could see how a local business was run. And then when I finished school, I went off to uni. Because of how the dates go in Scotland, I was one of the youngest in the year. And so I was only 17 and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went off to uni. But I said at the time, I said to my mum, I'm going, but I'm only going to kill 4 years of my life and then I'm going to start my business. And yeah, so I did. I went down to Edinburgh. I thought I'll go to the big city, move away from Aberdeen and go to Edinburgh. And I enjoyed uni. And I did sociology because I knew it was something that I would enjoy. And then as we were coming out kind of into my final year, I thought, right, this is it. It's the last year, so I need to start thinking if I'm going to start a business, I need to start doing something about it. So I started at Edinburgh. They have quite a good sort of entrepreneur service called Edinburgh Innovations, and they support students to start businesses. And I worked with them to set up a sustainable gifting business. And then as I graduated, it was coming into 2020, so it was COVID. And then COVID kind of gave me the space, I guess, to go all in on that because there were no jobs. All of the grad schemes had been pulled. The pressure that I think I probably would have felt to go out and get a real job, I did was gone because there were no jobs. And so I focused on the sustainable gifting business. And then from there, I learned a lot. So I did courses and programs to learn marketing, to learn how to run a business, really with the view of running that business. And then I just was looking for a part-time job, sort of the start of 2021, that I could do alongside that. And I kind of fell into a VA role for somebody who I'd met through running the sustainable gifting business. And from there, it's so referral based. So from there, picked up clients through or working with this original client. And yeah, then I did it freelance for a few months and then I thought, right, I'm going to go all in on this and give it a bash.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So who's been your biggest supporter?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think definitely my partner. I moved in with him after, so he was at uni in Aberdeen and I was at uni in Edinburgh. I moved in with him in COVID, him and his two flatmates. So that was a whirlwind. And I mean, you'll know yourself how it is running a business. There's such highs, but there's also such lows. And I think sometimes that maybe means it can be challenging to live with somebody who runs their own business because you never quite know what you're going to get day in, day out. So having that kind of stability in that pillar and that support is just amazing. And somebody to share it with as well, I think.
I'm just reflecting on that. As a coach, we get taught that when your client's down, you have to be up. And when your client's up, you have to be up. So maybe that's what's required of the partner of a business owner, isn't it? To always be on the up for you.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. And to know whether it's, you know, sometimes you just need a bit of tough love, you need a bit of, right, come on, and other times you just need to sit and wallow, to kind of sit and wallow, give yourself a little bit of space, and then the tough love.
So what are the challenges then? What have been the low points? When have you needed to rely on the support?
I think it when you're in your own business, it becomes your everything. And it
Mhm.
definitely is. I get a lot of fulfillment from it, but it means that in those times when you have a knockback or something, you know, doesn't go quite how you planned, or a curveball comes, and then it can hit you. But I think also because I get so much fulfillment from the business, and the business is me to a large extent, then it can like make me doubt myself, and kind of have that impact on me. And I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, like, because I'm so close to the business, I take it very, very
Yes.
personally. And kind of building that resilience and trying to separate that, has been definitely a big learning, and trying not to just instinctively go to stressing and panicking. And, you know, when things actually, in the grand scheme of things, you know, usually those little knockbacks are not as bad as you think that they are at the time.
I is that, for someone who's thinking of starting their business, is that one of the things that you would like to tell them, that it's not great all the time. There are ups and downs.
Yeah. And I think social media, you only see the highs.
Yeah.
Especially like among my peers, we're very much a social media sort of generation. People are on putting their whole lives on, but really it's only the good parts of your life. Um, and I think as well with social media, you see so much of, you know, the overnight success, the people that made, I don't know, however much money in 20 minutes, or, you know, whatever it is. And there's this kind of sense of, I think it can feel like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Or I think sometimes people expect that then. I think sometimes people underestimate how difficult it is, and how much you just have to keep going. You have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. You don't always get the reward. Sometimes you go for, and then weeks, months down the line of consistently taking that action, you start to see the results. And I think that's something that's not glamorous. It's not glamorous to sell that. People don't sell that as a what it's like running your own business, but
Yeah.
really that is a lot of what it's like. It's about trusting yourself, and trusting that you do know what you're doing, and that if you keep going you will get there.
I don't think there's any such thing as a overnight success. Yeah. Yeah. 5 years,
No.
10 years, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I think people see it and they think, oh, I've been doing this for a month and I haven't seen any results, or, you know, whatever it is. And because they're seeing that online, it's like almost two completely different narratives.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I like that message. Stick with a consistent action and it'll take longer than you think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think sometimes I think people, it's not that they couldn't do it, it's just that they just don't have the perseverance to keep going.
Mhm.
And you never know, like, you know, if you stopped, like if I'd stopped in some of those hard, you know, those times when I was like, oh, feels like nothing is going right, even though in reality more probably was going right than I was giving credit for, then and I'd been like, this is it, I can't do this anymore. Then it might have been the next day when that next opportunity like came around the corner.
3 feet from gold, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Always 3 feet from gold. So so you've got a team now. You said you've got four of you now. Um, lots of people that I talk to are talking about the challenges of finding good staff.
Yeah.
How have you gone about finding or training your team?
So we took somebody on recently, just after Christmas, and I was also was really worried about that, because I know there's lots at the moment, and it's really hard to find staff. It's really hard to find good staff. Um, and so I worked with a HR consultant advisor who really helped me really with all of it, with putting out together the job advert, with where to advertise, screening the candidates. She did the interviews with me, and I think that was really helpful. It was an investment in terms of I could have just done it all myself. But because I was worried, are we going to find somebody? It meant I felt like it was worth the investment because we were going to have a stronger chance of finding somebody and of finding the right person, which we have, and it's going, it's going really well now, which is fantastic. I think as well, because of the nature of the work, like we're a virtual assistant company, so it's work from home. It's all pretty much all remote working, which is what a lot of people are looking for these days. And I've spoke to quite a few people who've said that they've hired for office positions and people aren't interested if it's not at least got some flexibility. So I think it's trying to make it as attractive as you can, and it's not just about pay anymore.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so other than pay, what did you have to consider in that package for the right person?
So it's the flexibility. Try to be as flexible as we can. If you have an appointment today and you want to do extra hours tomorrow instead, or whatever, like that's fine as long as the work is done. That's okay. Work from home. Also, we're a value-led business. We're very much about sustainability. We're all very passionate about that. So that's something I really wanted to make clear in terms of the job role, in terms of finding a candidate who fits into that, but also people I think really want to, people who are value led themselves want to join companies who have share those values and have those similar sort of passions and interests.
I like it. Yes, it's sort of it's the new perspective on the workplace, and it has to tick a lot more boxes than it used to do.
Yeah.
So what are I mean, working virtually has taken massive steps in the last 4 years, almost to the day. But what is it difficult to manage a team remotely? Is it difficult to manage your clients remotely? And are there any tools or anything that you use to make that easier for you?
I think people are a lot more used to working virtually now. Certainly the virtual assistant kind of space industry has grown massively since COVID and since it became much more the norm. So people are used to it in terms of clients and the team. So I think it's not as much of a battle. Maybe it would have been more of a battle previously, and now it's like people are so used to it. In terms of the team, we kind of have a set Monday morning. We always have a call, and once a month we're all Aberdeen City or Shire based. So once a month we try to meet in person, and go for a coffee and do more of the brainstorming and the ideas and working through things, and doing that together, because that's nice, and that's nice for having that sense of team as well. And then for clients, our clients are a mix. We have clients who are Aberdeen based and then clients who are based kind of across the rest of the UK. For the Aberdeen clients, often, especially if they're people that I've met in person originally, like at a networking event or at something in person, I often will go for a coffee, we'll meet up for a coffee. But often for kind of our other clients, all the meetings will be online. They know right from the start that we're Aberdeen based, and so if they're in London, we're not going to be going for a coffee every week. But again, when I am down in London, I would definitely reach out to my London clients and say, do you want to go for a coffee? Again, just because I think you build that rapport, and it is nice to meet people in person. In terms of kind of managing that and managing the workload, I think it's communication, like it is with everything. Making sure you've got the communication, you're having regular calls or emails or WhatsApp or however. We try to be flexible in terms of communicating in the way that's best for the clients. We also have our own project management. We have a project management tool that we use to manage our workload amongst us as a team, and make sure that we're on top of everything, and things aren't being missed and plates aren't being dropped.
Good. Yeah. I think the tools that you use, the software or the packages can be a real, can make or break the success of your service.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk at the moment about AI.
Hmm.
What's your take on AI?
I think, I mean, we use AI. We use AI in the business. We use it for a lot in terms of research, researching when we're working with a new business, researching kind of their industry, if it's a new industry that we've not done so much work in before, researching in terms of customer, their ideal client, their competitors, um, content ideas. We still do a lot of the content writing ourselves, or we'll use AI to kind of generate ideas, to generate a blueprint, and then sort of rewrite it ourselves. Because I think it's come a long way, AI, but it's still, you can add in so much when you write it yourself, and it's still at a place. Lots of the tools where you can tell, when you're on LinkedIn and you see a post and you think they have not written that, or a comment where somebody's just put it into ChatGPT and it's just generated a comment for them and they've just pasted it in, and you think, and I think that can be brand damaging if you're a brand where people, especially if you're like maybe like a higher level brand, but for any brand really, or like a local brand, people, you kind of want to have that connection with the person, and it comes across a little bit lazy if you think they've literally just copied and pasted that from AI and they've not even read it in some
Yeah.
cases. But I think, I mean, it's an exciting space. I think we have to look at it like that. It's an exciting space. It's bringing lots of exciting developments. And in a way, I'm surprised people aren't using it more. Like initially, when ChatGPT launched, everybody was using it and everybody was kind of really experimenting with it. And now it's sort of settled and doesn't seem like I think the trajectory, people expected it to really, really take off at that point, and maybe it hasn't done quite as much as people thought. Partly possibly because because of those reasons, like it's actually, you're still having to read it, you're still having to add in bits, particularly things like when I always think for content things, it's nice to have, those personal anecdotes, those stories, those jokes, bit of sarcasm, whatever it is, and you're not going to get that from AI. And that's really what like builds relationships, is those extra bits.
No, I think it's an exciting place, and there are, Chat GPT being the forerunner, but there are lots more around,
Yeah.
video editing and transcribing and that sort of. I think there's a lot that's going to improve efficiency
Yeah,
for
definitely.
those
Yeah.
that
I
use it.
think at this point as well, it's people still have quite a lot of concerns around the data that you're putting in, and you can turn off the training so that it doesn't use the AI model isn't using your data to train the AI model. So then in theory, your data shouldn't then be going back in to the system. But because it's so new, people are quite wary. I mean, certainly our policy is we do not enter anything into AI that we don't want in the public sphere, like things that aren't already in the public sphere, we're not putting into AI. We certainly would never be putting in any kind of data. And I think that still is a concern. And so people are a little bit wary maybe to use it to its full potential because of that. And I think that is something that they will need to address moving forward, in order to get the mass uptake, I think, and for it to really bring the benefits that it could bring.
So in terms of your business then, what are the, so you've been on the go for what, 5 years or so? Is that right?
About two and a half, two and a half.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
I thought it was as, yes, it was the other business before COVID. Yeah. So what does the next 5 years bring for you?
Um, oh, that's a difficult one. I think we're looking at the moment at bringing in more sustainability specific services and kind of net zero services, and how we can incorporate sort of net zero admin and data collection into what we're doing and start offering that as a standalone service. We're looking, at the moment, we're still in a period of growth, which is really exciting. There's the virtual assistant space is growing, and there's the market is growing, and definitely the sustainability space is growing. So I do think there's a huge opportunity there, and we're keen to kind of pursue that and see where that takes us. Yeah.
Brilliant. So having always wanted to have a business and being on your second one now, is that, are you a serial entrepreneur? Do you have additional ideas for where your empire can grow?
Um, Not at the moment. I would say I'm kind of looking at how we can diversify within the current business, and kind of within the services that we offer there. Um, and yeah, I think because we're still quite new. We're 2.5, 3 years in. We're still at a point of I want to go all in on this and make it make it into something that I think it could be, and put the energy into that and give it the time and energy that it deserves. And then yeah, then we'll see.
Yeah, you're at the early stage of your career. Who knows where
Yeah.
something like this can take someone entrepreneurial like yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I mean, especially with AI as well, like it's so difficult to know what the world will look like in
Yeah,
5 years.
absolutely, absolutely. So, as you know, the Skill Her Up podcast was created because not enough women are starting and scaling their business.
Yeah.
So it's about showcasing women like you, so that others can see that that's a path to take. What do you think we need to do to increase the number of women that are starting and growing their businesses?
Yeah. Well, so personally, I do quite a lot in terms of going into schools. So I try and go into schools, and I've done quite a bit with my old high school in Stonehaven, and gone in and done kind of sessions and talks there, and just being that having that representation of a young woman who has built a business. When I was at school, I always said to teachers, oh, I'm going to have my own business, that's what I want to do. But you didn't see it. Nobody ever came in who was a woman who'd started her own business. The only person I think I knew was Deborah Meaden on Dragon's Den. And she, even back then when I was at school, she was very established. She was not any, I couldn't really relate to her.
Yeah.
um so I think it's about, yeah, having those role models, and that's something I'm very keen to continue doing, is giving my time and going into schools and encouraging girls to start their own businesses and having the confidence to do that. And then I think at a higher level, like there's big problems in terms of funding, and the funding not being allocated equally, and that women-led businesses the proportion of women-led businesses that receive funding is just so low. And I mean, that's something I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. Something at legislative level or at a higher level. But I think that should be more of a priority than it is, because if we're only investing a tiny proportion in women-led businesses, only a tiny, all the rest are at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I think a lot of the financial institutions are ticking a box saying that they're going to do something about it. They've maybe got somebody whose role that is, or they've got some sort of initiative. But I agree with you. I don't think there's enough there yet.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but hopefully things will start to change. And I think that's it. It's about people going out and doing it, and also about lifting people up behind you. Like, I don't know what that expression is about, not lifting up the ladder or putting the ladder down to help people behind you. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know, but like helping other women in business, basically.
Yeah, and we met again the other week at a women's networking breakfast. So those kinds of things are there around the country, around the world, supporting other women, not just in business but in their careers as well. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
those
absolutely.
organizations.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And my last question for you, Maya, I ask most of my guests this question, but for you it's less further back than most of us have to think. What advice do you have for your 18-year-old self?
Oh, I think I try to worry less and have more trust in myself and just in trust in myself and trust that everything will work out and not to just get so worried and stressed and about the little things and being at uni and and having that perspective. I think, and maybe that is something that you get more and more with age, is that perspective of looking at things. And I do try to think, if this won't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. And I do try to think that now. But I think back then, a bit of perspective would have done me good.
I'm going to write that one down. If this won't matter in 5 years, don't spend long on it now. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and just enjoy it. Like spend less time worrying and more time just living in the moment and enjoying it. And I think when you have it, you're more able to do that when you have that trust in yourself and in the fact that if you do the right things, it will work out in the end.
It's a great learning in business, isn't it? That the person who enjoys walking will walk further than the person who enjoys the destination.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I think if you're only in it to get to the destination in business, you're in the wrong thing.
Oh, Maya, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your story, and I think you're a real inspiration to young women. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It's been fab.
Thank you.